Hello, my friends. I truly hope you are doing great today. Let me start by asking you an interesting question. How many things do you think one person can be truly good at? 1, 2, maybe 3? But what if I told you there was a man who mastered so many skills that counting them becomes almost impossible? He was not only a painter, he was also an engineer, a scientist, an architect, a sculptor, and much more. He understood maps, stars, plants, rocks, water, light, and even fossils. This man was so intelligent and so talented that people will remember him even 1,000 years from now. His name was Leonardo da Vinci. Today, I am going to tell you his story, a story that will inspire you and help you improve your English at the same time. Let us begin with his early life. A long time ago, in the year 1452, a baby boy was born in a small village in Italy called Vinci. His full name was Leonardo di Ser Piero da Vinci, which means Leonardo, the son of Piero, from Vinci. Leonardo's father, Piero, was a wealthy man. His mother, Caterina, was a poor woman. Leonardo was born out of wedlock, meaning his parents were not married. Because of this, Leonardo did not grow up in a rich family. However, he had something far more valuable than money, a curious and questioning mind. From a very young age, Leonardo was always curious. He loved asking questions. He wanted to understand how birds could fly, why water flowed the way it did, and how the stars moved across the sky. While other children were playing games, Leonardo spent his time observing nature. He carefully watched how leaves grew on trees, how shadows moved during the day, and how animals behaved. Leonardo did not attend a prestigious school. He never learned Latin, the language that educated people used at that time. But this did not stop him. Leonardo educated himself by observing the world around him. And soon, he began to draw. His drawings were so detailed and so beautiful that people could hardly believe they were made by a child. When Leonardo was still very young, his extraordinary talent became impossible to ignore. His father clearly saw that his son was gifted in a way most people were not. So, when Leonardo turned 14, his father made an important decision. He sent Leonardo to Florence, the most famous city for art, culture, and creativity in all of Italy. Florence was alive with artists, thinkers, and inventors. For a curious mind like Leonardo's, it was the perfect place. In Florence, Leonardo became an apprentice to Andrea del Verrocchio, one of the greatest artists and sculptors of that time. Working in Verrocchio's workshop was not easy, but it was incredibly valuable. Here, Leonardo learned how to paint, sculpt, and create art that looked almost real. He studied how colors mixed, how light and shadow worked, and how to give paintings depth and life. But his learning did not stop with art. In Verrocchio's workshop, Leonardo also learned about machines, engineering, and mechanical design. He even began studying the human body, trying to understand how it moved and functioned. Leonardo was not the kind of student who simply followed instructions. He questioned everything. He experimented constantly, tested new ideas, and tried to improve every skill he learned. He was never satisfied with good enough. One day, Verrocchio asked Leonardo to help him with a painting called The Baptism of Christ. Leonardo was given the task of painting one of the angels in the artwork. When the painting was finally finished, something remarkable happened. Everyone who saw it was amazed. The angel Leonardo painted looked incredibly real, soft, emotional, and alive. It stood out so clearly that people could not stop talking about it. According to legend, Verrocchio was so shocked by Leonardo's talent that he decided to stop painting forever, believing that his student had surpassed him. Around this time, people began to notice something very unusual about Leonardo. He could draw and write at the same time. But there was something strange about his writing. Leonardo wrote backward. His words appeared like a mirror image, and to read them properly, you had to hold the page up to a mirror. Some people believed Leonardo did this to keep his ideas secret. Others thought it was simply more comfortable for him, since he was left-handed. Whatever the reason, his notebooks were filled with incredible thoughts and ideas. Leonardo was not just drawing beautiful images. He was creating art filled with details that most people never noticed in real life. He loved sketching plants, birds, and machines that existed only in his imagination. He was always trying to understand how things worked beneath the surface. Then, in 1473, something truly amazing happened. At just 21 years old, Leonardo created his first known artwork, a sketch called Arno Valley Landscape. This was not a simple drawing. It showed a detailed view of the Arno River and the surrounding countryside. You could clearly see mountains, trees, valleys, and the gentle curves of the land. What made this sketch so special was its realism. It felt as if you were looking at the world through Leonardo's eyes, clear, detailed, and full of life. This artwork was important because it showed how Leonardo was different from other artists of his time. He did not simply draw what he saw. He added depth, movement, and emotion. Even a simple river became something extraordinary in his hands. Leonardo's journey was only beginning. His mind was already racing far ahead of his time. Leonardo's mind was never still. It was always working, always questioning, always observing. He wrote down everything he thought about. From how birds fly to how the human body functions, nothing was too small or too big for his curiosity. As mentioned before, Leonardo wrote all of his notes in reverse. Reading his notebooks felt like unlocking a secret code. His notebooks were like treasure chests of ideas. Inside them, Leonardo sketched designs for flying machines, bridges, and even weapons. He imagined machines that could lift people into the air and structures that could be built quickly and efficiently. Even today, people look at these pages and ask the same question: how could one man think of all this? Leonardo was deeply fascinated by nature. He studied trees and carefully explained why their branches grow in specific patterns. He observed water and drew detailed sketches showing how it moves when it hits rocks or flows through streams. To Leonardo, nothing in nature happened by accident. Everything had a reason. Here's something truly special about him. Leonardo did not believe there was a difference between art and science. To him, they were two sides of the same truth. When Leonardo painted a bird, he did not simply draw its feathers. He studied how its wings moved and how it stayed in the air. He wanted to understand why birds could fly. Because of this curiosity, Leonardo began designing flying machines. Many of them looked like giant mechanical wings inspired by birds. One of his most famous notes says, "Once you have tasted flight, you will forever walk the earth with your eyes turned skyward." Even though airplanes would not be invented for hundreds of years, Leonardo was already imagining humans flying through the sky. Back in Florence, Leonardo continued working with Verrocchio. people began to talk about him more and more. They said, "This young man is not just an artist, he is a genius." Leonardo had a rare gift for drawing faces. He could show emotions in a way few artists ever could. A smile in his paintings was never just a smile. It could be joyful, shy, thoughtful, or deeply mysterious. This is why people felt connected to his art. It felt alive. Leonardo also loved experimenting. Sometimes he mixed his own paints. Other times, he tested completely new artistic techniques. Not every experiment worked, but failure never stopped him. Leonardo was not just creating art. He was learning constantly. He wanted to understand everything about the world around him. Leonardo studied anatomy by dissecting animals and even human bodies. He wanted to see how muscles and bones work together to create movement. He observed the stars and tried to understand how they moved across the sky. He created maps that were so accurate, people used them for many years. Leonardo was not afraid to ask big questions. Why do plants grow the way they do? Why does water move faster in some places? How do the human heart and lungs work? Around this time, Leonardo began sketching inventions no one had ever seen before. First, flying machines that could lift a person into the air. Second, lightweight bridges that armies could quickly build to cross rivers. Third, weapons, including ideas for powerful war machines like giant crossbows. Leonardo did not invent simply to destroy. He believed that invention could improve the world. By the time Leonardo reached his mid-20s, his name was well known in Florence. But this was only the beginning of his incredible journey. He was more than an artist. He was a dreamer who believed the impossible could become real. His unique ability to combine art, science, and engineering made him different from everyone else. Leonardo did not belong only to his time. He was far ahead of it. As Leonardo's fame continued to grow, rich and powerful people began to notice him. They understood that he was not an ordinary artist. One of his most important supporters was Lorenzo de' Medici, the ruler of Florence. Lorenzo believed in Leonardo's abilities and wanted others to see his genius as well. So, in 1482, Lorenzo sent Leonardo to Milan to work for the Duke of Milan, Ludovico Sforza. But here is something very interesting. Ludovico did not want Leonardo only as a painter. He wanted someone who could design weapons, fortresses, and machines for his army. Leonardo understood this perfectly. Before arriving in Milan, Leonardo wrote a letter to Ludovico Sforza. In this letter, he carefully listed all the things he could do. He wrote about his ability to build strong and lightweight bridges, design powerful war machines, create cannons and advanced weapons, plan buildings and fortifications. And then, at the very end of the letter, Leonardo added something simple and almost casual. "Oh, and I can paint too." This one sentence tells us a lot about Leonardo da Vinci. He did not see himself as just an artist. He saw himself as a problem solver, an engineer, and a scientist. While living in Milan, Leonardo created one of the most famous artworks in human history, The Last Supper. This painting still amazes people today. The artwork shows Jesus sitting with his 12 disciples at the exact moment when Jesus says, "One of you will betray me." Leonardo wanted to capture the emotions of every single person in that moment. If you look closely, you can see. Some disciples look shocked. Others look confused. Some appear angry or afraid. Judas, the one who betrays Jesus, is holding a small bag of money and looking away from the others. Leonardo carefully studied human emotion to make each face feel real and unique. Leonardo also used a special technique to create depth in the painting. He arranged the figures and the background in a way that made the scene appear three-dimensional. However, Leonardo loved experimenting. Instead of using traditional painting methods, he tried a new technique. Unfortunately, this caused the painting to begin fading not long after it was completed. Even so, The Last Supper remains one of the most powerful and famous paintings ever created. While in Milan, Leonardo did much more than paint. He continued exploring science, engineering, and anatomy. Leonardo believed that to create perfect art, an artist must understand what exists beneath the skin. That is why his paintings look so realistic. He knew how the body moved, how muscles worked, and how light and shadow fell on the human form. His time in Milan was one of intense learning, creativity, and invention. Leonardo was not slowing down. His mind was still racing forward. In 1503, Leonardo began working on what would become the most famous painting in the world, the Mona Lisa. This portrait shows a woman sitting calmly, looking directly at the viewer with a soft and mysterious smile. For centuries, people have tried to understand that smile. Is she happy? Is she sad? Is she hiding a secret thought? Leonardo wanted the painting to feel alive. He spent years perfecting every detail. He used a special technique called sfumato, which allowed colors and shadows to blend smoothly without sharp lines. Because of this, the edges of her face appear soft and natural, giving the painting a lifelike quality. What makes the Mona Lisa even more fascinating is that Leonardo never gave it away. He carried the painting with him wherever he went. To Leonardo, it was more than just artwork. It was deeply personal, almost like a part of his soul. During this time, Leonardo continued filling his notebooks with ideas. He wrote about how the human eye works, how light travels, and how water and air move. He designed machines that could lift heavy objects and imagined devices that were far ahead of their time. Alongside scientific ideas, Leonardo also wrote short thoughts and reflections. Some of his most famous lines include, "Learning never exhausts the mind. Simplicity is the ultimate sophistication." These words reveal how deeply he believed in lifelong learning. His notebooks were like windows into his brilliant mind. Even today, scholars study them to understand how he thought and how he connected ideas. Leonardo did not stay in one place for very long. After his time in Milan, he returned to Florence and continued working on projects for powerful people, kings, dukes, and even the Pope. He continued inventing, drawing, and experimenting. However, not everything Leonardo started was finished. Why? Because his mind was always moving toward the next big idea. He could not stop dreaming. Leonardo's curiosity never faded. He was constantly searching for new knowledge, new questions, and new challenges. His work was never just about completing a task. It was about understanding the world more deeply. Even as he grew older, Leonardo remained a student of life. In 1516, Leonardo da Vinci made a major change in his life. He moved to France after being personally invited by the King of France, Francis III. The king admired Leonardo deeply. He respected not only his art, but also his intelligence, creativity, and wisdom. Leonardo was given a beautiful mansion near the royal palace where he could live, work, and think freely. Francis I often visited him and called him the father of all arts. During his final years in France, Leonardo spent his time teaching, sharing ideas, and continuing to sketch and write. Even in old age, his curiosity never disappeared. On May 2, 1519, Leonardo da Vinci passed away at the age of 67. It is said that he died holding a notebook in his hands, still thinking and dreaming until the very end. Leonardo da Vinci was not just a painter or a scientist. He was a man who showed the world what curiosity, dedication, and hard work could achieve. Even more than 500 years later, his ideas, inventions, and artworks continue to inspire millions of people around the world. Leonardo's genius extended far beyond his paintings. One of his most remarkable works is Salvator Mundi, which means Savior of the World. This painting shows Jesus Christ holding a crystal orb in one hand, symbolizing the universe, while making a blessing gesture with the other. The painting is famous for its lifelike details: the calm expression, flowing hair, and glowing eyes. The crystal orb is painted so realistically that it appears to bend and capture light. After Leonardo's death, Salvator Mundi disappeared for centuries. It was rediscovered in 2005. For many years, experts debated whether the painting was truly Leonardo's work. After extensive research, most scholars agreed that it was authentic. In 2017, Salvator Mundi was sold for $450.3 million, making it the most expensive painting ever sold. This extraordinary price shows how highly the world values Leonardo's genius. Another incredible piece of Leonardo's legacy is one of his handwritten notebooks, the Codex Leicester. In 1994, the Codex Leicester was purchased by Bill Gates for $30.8 million. This notebook focuses mainly on science, especially Leonardo's studies of water. He wrote about rivers, waves, erosion, and how water shapes the land. The Codex Leicester is not just a notebook. It is a window into Leonardo's brilliant mind. Today, Bill Gates sometimes displays it in museums so people can learn from Leonardo's ideas. Leonardo was also far ahead of his time in his compassion for animals. He believed that animals had feelings and intelligence just like humans. Leonardo often refused to eat meat because he did not want to harm living creatures. He once wrote, "The time will come when people will look upon the killing of animals the same way they look upon the killing of humans." Whenever Leonardo passed a market where birds were sold in cages, he would buy them and set them free. This shows his deep respect for all life. Leonardo da Vinci was not only an artist, he was a scientist who asked bold questions about the natural world. One of those questions was, why is the sky blue? Leonardo discovered that the sky appears blue because sunlight scatters through the air. Tiny particles in the atmosphere spread blue light more than other colors. Remember, this was centuries before modern science explained the same idea. Leonardo was also fascinated by the human eye, which he called the window to the soul. He studied how the eye bends light to create images. He drew detailed sketches and explained how vision works. These studies helped future discoveries in optics. For Leonardo, understanding light was not only about science, it was also about improving his art. By mastering light and shadow, he made his paintings incredibly realistic. Despite his genius, Leonardo also had a playful side. In his notebooks, you can find jokes, riddles, and humorous sketches. Some drawings show exaggerated faces or silly inventions with no real purpose. Leonardo believed that laughter was part of life, and that curiosity should be joyful, not heavy. Leonardo da Vinci was not just a man. He was a phenomenon. Even after centuries, his name still shines brightly. What made Leonardo truly extraordinary was not just his talent, but his endless curiosity, his love for learning, and his desire to improve the world. In the final chapter of his story, we see how Leonardo's legacy continues to inspire humanity. As Leonardo lay on his deathbed on May 2nd, 1519, surrounded by people who admired and respected him, he is believed to have said, "I have offended God and mankind because my work did not reach the quality it should have." These words reveal Leonardo's humility. Even after achieving so much, he believed he could have done more. This teaches us that true greatness comes with responsibility and a constant desire to improve. After his death, Leonardo's works, ideas, and notebooks spread across the world. His inventions inspired future scientists and engineers. His art became the standard for beauty and realism. Many of his designs, flying machines, hydraulic systems, and even early robot ideas, influenced future technological advancements. Leonardo taught us to observe the world closely. He believed nature was the greatest teacher. His studies of water, light, plants, and the human body revealed truths that modern science later confirmed. Leonardo da Vinci had a unique way of thinking, shaped by endless curiosity, a passion for learning, a belief in hard work, a desire to share knowledge. Leonardo's life offers powerful lessons for all of us. Be curious. Never stop asking questions. Learn beyond one subject. Explore many fields. Work hard. Talent matters, but effort turns dreams into reality. Do not fear failure. Leonardo's ideas did not always work, but he never gave up. Stay humble. No matter how much you achieve, there is always more to learn. Leonardo da Vinci's grave became a place of pilgrimage for those who wished to honor his genius. In science, his notebooks still inspire discoveries. In art, his techniques are taught in schools worldwide. Leonardo showed us that learning never ends. Imagine this: a boy born in a small village without formal education grew into one of the greatest minds in history. Leonardo was not born a genius. He became one through curiosity, hard work, and passion. His story reminds us that greatness is not reserved for a few. It is possible for anyone who dares to dream big, work hard, and stay curious. So remember, the sky is not the limit. Your mind is. Never stop learning. Never stop dreaming. And never stop believing in your potential. This is the story of Leonardo da Vinci, the man who saw the world not as it was, but as it could be.